is. Deep God, you know what time it is.
A story a day.
Oh yeah, it's been a minute since a story a day. So, it was on this very day, which will remain forever in the consciousness of every American and probably everyone around the world. 17 years ago today, when 19 hijackers boarded 4 planes in the eastern part of the United States, and 2 of the planes ended up in both the north and the south towers of what was then the World Trade Center. The 3rd one ended up in the Pentagon. The 4th one, it crashed in a maize or cornfield in Pennsylvania, and that was 9/11. So there I was in Zimbabwe. We were covering some farm invasions in a place called Karoi, which is about 250 kilometers north of Harare. And these farm invasions had been going on for a while. We finally got access onto a farm where the local militia, as we call them, or war veterans, better yet, had chased out the owners of the farm and had occupied it. So we got exclusive access to this place, and when we drove up after a 4-hour drive from Harare, we asked the guys there whether we could interview them, and they were cool about it, and they took us on a tour of their newly acquired farm. And this was, in any given day, this was a brilliant story to do. So as we were leaving several hours later, as we were driving out the gate, we saw a whole convoy of police cars arriving. And they arrived and they stopped us and they asked us what we were doing. We showed them our IDs and everything, and they said, you know what, you're not permitted to film here. You have to come with us. So we said, no problem. So we drove with them to the Karoi police station, where they put us in a holding cell for what seemed like forever. Actually, it was just a couple of hours in a holding cell as we were making phone calls back and forth. And eventually they let us go after a couple of hours there. So now it was about, let's say noon. It was about noon local time. So and again, driving 4 hours back to Harare. And of course, his phone signal was intermittent. So I said, when I get to Harare, I'm going to make a phone call to Atlanta. I'm going to tell them, guys, I've got the most incredible story today. We were on a farm, we filmed, we got arrested, all that stuff. It was going to be the best story of the day. I was so excited. So we finally, 4 hours later, we get to Harare. We get to our hotel room. There I am as the editor is putting the material together and start writing my script. I made a call to Atlanta. It was about 8:55 in the morning there. So I figured, let me catch them early in the morning and tell them this is my story. And I start editing. So I dialed the number +404 blah 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 blah. The editor picks up the phone and I say, hey man, Bruce, did you know what happened? We went to a farm, we filmed it, we got arrested, these guys wanted to jail us, blah blah blah. And then I was very excitedly telling him my story for the day. And he listened very quietly, and in the end, he finally said, Jeff, is there a TV anywhere near you? I said, yeah, of course there's a TV. I mean, what are you talking, Bruce? I've got the best story ever. He says, Jeff, just take a look at the TV. And then as he was saying that, I heard him say, oh my God. So there I am. As he says that, he said, oh my God, and then he hung up the phone. As he said that, I turned on the TV, and sure enough, the second aircraft was slamming into the tower in the World Trade Center, and I was saying, my goodness, did I just switch on a movie channel or what? It looks like a plane just slammed into the World Trade Center, and it looked like a movie at that instant, but it was live pictures on CNN that moment, and I figured, oh my goodness, forget about this story, forget about any other story for the next few months. The only story was what we were watching on the television that day. Those 2 planes slamming into those 2 towers. And what happened after that. Unbelievable. I tell you, I mean, if you were If you were a kid back then and growing up 17 years later, you will never forget this day. You'll forever be telling your children what happened on September 11th, 2001. And by the way, when I lived in America, the last couple of years of about 92, 93, 94, and 95, I was actually living in a place called Boulevard East. It's right across the river in New Jersey. So across from me, I could see into Manhattan, the main island in New York. And right there was the World Trade Center. I could see it out of my window every morning because it was a beautiful view from that side of New Jersey. In a place called Boulevard East and Hoboken, that whole area. And I could see the towers right there across from my window every morning when I was either jogging or driving or going, taking a walk. You could see the World Trade Center towers, that iconic building, the building that defined the city of New York. And when it came down that day, when those towers came down, it was like, wow. This was the biggest, I guess, the most terrifying terrorist act on American soil. Unbelievable. But it happened 17 years later. They've actually rebuilt them for the most part. They are going to replace the two towers. But that place remains as a memorial for the 3,700 odd people who died that day. And stories of some of them jumping out of the building, which was more than 100 stories high. Harrowing and horrific stories of what happened that day. The world changed, no doubt. America changed. Everything changed. And that's what we call a story a day.
Only on Hot